local Kitsap County nonprofit organization established in 2015, whose mission is to provide activities, programs, and community support for at-risk youth.
They put the you in community.
Doc love the kids.
Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy,
where we give you the courtesy of conversation
that's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to catch us on our other shows, Plays and Parlays, Civil Discourse, UFC with LT, and the Friday Fix. As you can see, they're all here at the bottom on that side. And this is where you can find us, all down here on the bottom. And this is the name of the show. And that's Wes. Hello, Wes. How many days is it now?
I'm going to give you guys that at the end of the show, but we are definitely in the middle of a takeover, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. But I definitely appreciate you bringing that up right now, because that is definitely something we have to discuss.
Yeah.
How you doing, bro? I know you've been going through it a little bit.
Yeah, health-wise, whatever, but it's just, the world is continuing to burn in America. I just want to be like one of those people that just doesn't pay attention to nothing, and I just be like, lesser of two evils. I'm not voting. I'm not affected. But it looks like, we're going to be taken over by federal agents pretty soon, everywhere it's going on. But like right now, we're going to talk about the government shutdown, if it is going to happen or not. It seems likely it is. A lot of stuff. Go ahead.
I know they've been having a bunch of meetings about it, but I think that they basically want it to be shut down. I don't think he really cares if the government gets shut down or not. I think this leads right into his plan that he's had for quite a while. You know what I mean? And I think we should just hop right into it, because at the end of the day, we got a lot of news to talk about, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes I think he one of his people were caught on one of Trump's people was caught on a hot mic saying that they're basically their trade or their trademark or whatever the case of their administration is chaos. You know what I mean? Like, our plan is chaos. This is what we do. And so this is pretty much what we have is chaos within our government, within our country right now. We're headed to a shutdown, Vance says, after Trump meeting with leaders ends. A looming federal government shutdown appeared even more likely after top Democrats and Republicans met with President Donald Trump at the White House on Monday. I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing, Vance told reporters after the meeting, which came less than 2 days before the shutdown will begin in the absence of a funding deal. The Democratic participants, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, likewise said that the two sides remain far apart. We have very large differences, Schumer said after the meeting, but he added that he believes Trump heard Democrats' objections for the first time, suggesting the face-to-face was at least a partially constructive. Both sides continue to assert that the other will be to blame if the government shuts down starting Wednesday. It's up to the Republicans whether they want to shut down or not, Schumer said. Republicans who hold the White House in slim majorities in both chambers of Congress want to pass a stopgap spending bill to maintain federal funding at current levels until late November. Democrats demand that the bill, known as a continuing resolution, include funding and protection for a handful of key measures, especially an extension of enhanced Obamacare tax credits that are due to lapse at the end of the year. Republicans have slammed Democrats for refusing a clean resolution to keep the government from shutting down. This is purely and simply hostage taking, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a Republican of South Dakota, said after Monday's meeting. But Democrats say they've been shut out of the process. Their bill is not one iota of Democrat input. This is never how things have been done before, Schumer said. Dueling short-term funding bills to avert a government shutdown failed earlier this month in the Senate, where 60 votes are needed to overcome the filibuster. Republicans hold a 53-vote majority in that chamber.
So
go ahead.
Honestly, you know what I'm saying? Republicans, they run the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the White House. So if the government's shutting down, what they're trying to do, the Democrats and Schumer and them, they just want to extend the ACA, Affordable Care Act. I mean, the president's going to come out here and say, they want to make it so trans people can do this and all that. No, this is what it is. Affordable Care Act. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to pay for their health care in some form or way, and this is what they're just trying to extend. And Republicans don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And they basically they want the government to shut down, because if it shuts down, then they can fund what they want to fund. They can open what departments they want. They're already ready. That way they can federally fire a ton of people. I was talking to a friend of mine that works for the department, DSHS. That's our, that does the free medical welfare and all that stuff. And she told me they have, if the government shuts down after 30 days, she has to lay everybody off. They have enough surplus to survive for the food stamps for this month, and after that, food stamps are gone. And then they say they have enough for the TANF to survive all the way until December. So for Trump, it's a win-win for him, because these are stuff he wanted to get rid of anyways, if you remember. And the judges and all that locked it down. They said no, they stopped it. So he has the most to gain from a government shutdown.
Well, I mean, you remember back in, I think it was 2018 or it was like 2018, 2019, one of those two, when the government did shut down. And I think it shut down, you said, for 34 days, as longest government shutdown that we had. And people were out of work. I mean, you had government workers. People were saying, oh, well, those workers should have had some money put aside. When most Americans don't even have $500 for an emergency if something happens to them. We all sit back and we point fingers at other Americans, and we joke about this as like it's a game. But in reality, if he shuts down the government, like he just, like we're saying, he can look and see which places he wants to reopen. It really helps him at this point in time. I mean,
yeah, go ahead, Wes. I apologize.
And when you have the government, I mean, right now, our economy is reeling. We're acting like we don't know this. Like Jerome Powell didn't come out and basically say, I'm cutting rates because our we just had 21,000 jobs created in August. I mean, like there's a bunch of indicators showing that, joblessness is going up. There's more sellers than there are buyers in the housing market. So we needed to cut rates because the economy is bad. So therefore, if he cuts out a bunch of more jobs, what do you think? This economy is pretty much fluid. We all, just like you go to when you get up in the morning, you may need to get gas. You may need to stop at a little store to buy something to eat, whatever the case may be. Those are all workers you help to support. Imagine how many the government is the number one employer in our country. Our federal government is. Think about that. Imagine how many people they help to employ outside of just the people who work for the government. So that's a big thing. But go ahead, though.
But I mean, also, when you think about that, right? They can get rid of all these federal jobs. I mean, they just lost 100,000 just now, recently, a whole bunch of 100,000 resignations. But I mean, you get rid of all these jobs, they get to pocket all that money. They can open up programs they want to do. I mean, basically, he'll be a king, and he can leave the government shut down. Think about it. You shut down the government, then what else? It's going to have chaos, right? Then you can call martial law. You know what I'm saying? It plays into their hands. And I don't see it changing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if the Democrats buckle on this, they're weak anyways. A lot of people are like, let it shut down. But I mean, it's just, it's sad that we haven't had leadership here in this country for a couple decades now. Just good leadership that cares about.
Look at that as the Democrats buckling if they do not help to pass a bill, some type of a stopgap measure. Do you look at that as the Democrats really buckling?
I mean, if you don't look out for the American people, if they don't extend the ACA, because the ACA, you can call it Obamacare all you want, but so many people use it. If you can't extend it, if you don't put your foot down. If you don't put your foot down somewhere, you're going to get stepped on everywhere.
It's true. It's very true. I mean, but at the same time, though, somebody has to do what's right for the American people. You know what I mean? It's like being the grown up in the room at some point in time. It's like being in an argument with a child. If someone doesn't say, hey, stop, the house will get burned down. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what will end up happening. So do you do that in order to look like you're standing up for something, or do you take your fight somewhere else to the polls when it comes time for 2026? Do you wait for that?
For years of, let's fight them in the polls. Fight them in the polls. Look what happened. You didn't win. All right,
I don't look at that as a Democrat fault, though. I look at that as the people who are just duped into this.
They're not ready. Their Democratic Party is not ready to do what they need to really do to make an effort to do something for the American people. They keep trying to play by the rules while the other side doesn't care how many rules they break or who they put in place as long as they have power.
So let me ask you this. So once you get to that point where both parties are willing to do whatever, where do the American people stand in the middle of that? Really? I mean, being honest, because it's not about just doing whatever. It's about actually having some type of rule of law, being able to, some type of system of governance.
What show are we watching right now? What show are you watching? What American show are you watching right now? Because I hear what you're saying, but that's old America talk. We're in a new stage.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think
we're in a new stage of the country.
No, I understand where you're coming from as far as like what's been done, like, you know, how the dress have been, how the dress has been lifted up. But what I'm talking about is the fact that the reason why we're here is because we're dealing with people who are losing power. We're dealing with a demographic shift. We're dealing with a lot of things that this country has never had to deal with before. And so that's why we're here right now. We're here because they're like, oh, all hands on deck. Let's make sure we get a conservative Supreme Court. All hands on deck. Let's make sure we take away, put back all the, statues we need to put back. All hands on deck. Let's make sure we get rid of all the immigrants. They're doing everything they can now to prevent the inevitable. That's why we're here. We need to get back to a sense of normality at some point in time in this country, or we're done. Period. I'm not trying to, that's how I look at it.
I think we're done. I think it's kind of over. I mean, think about it. We haven't, how many days has it been, Wes?
252.
252 days of occupation.
Yeah.
Do you think, and now we have 3 more years of this. 3 more years. Look how much chaos. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, look how much chaos your life has been. Have you seen in these last couple of months? It hasn't even been a full year. It's not going to get better. They're not going to turn around and be like, inflation is up 2.7% this month.
I want to tell you, I want to agree with you about something. I do feel like there is a lot of weakness within the party when you look at people like Hakeem Jeffries, you look at people like Chuck Schumer, because they're not willing to go the route that the people need them to go. I will agree with that. When you look at how they haven't even come out from Mamdani in New York and come out and said basically, hey, we support you, even though he's the front runner by far. That obviously people in New York is the largest stronghold for Democrats anywhere in America. New York is the largest city in America. Yeah, I mean, largest blue city, largest city by far. I mean, so you're not coming out and supporting the will of the people speaks volume. So maybe that is something that you do have correct in that sense. But I feel like, if you look at the governance that's been going on in our country for the past 40, 50, 60, longer than that, probably since, Great Depression. As far as for the overall general people, I'm not speaking just for Black people, because we know how we've been done in this country. Democrats have been for the people. That's how I look at it. They've really been more or less for the people. Not
for the people now, because they're not doing it. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at dude New York like, no, he's going to mess up the status quo. The status quo is gone. Yeah. Stand up now, or there's not going to be nowhere for you to stand. You're just collecting a check telling us it's going to get better. Yeah. It's not going to get better. It's getting worse.
I think Hakeem
you saw what they did to Crawford, right? They came to kill. You saw what happened to Crawford.
Yeah, I saw that.
They came to kill. They're lucky. They're not even showing. The cop didn't have no camera on his chest. Mm-hmm. He knew exactly what he came to do. The only thing that saved him was come on, man, ain't getting no better.
This is what I'm gonna say.
Stand up and fight down on your knees.
No, I mean, I can't fully disagree, but I'm just saying like this right now. The reason why I feel like they're not fully supporting him is because Mamdani has come out and said he's not, the first place he goes on a foreign visit is not going to be to the country we will not discuss right now, because we'll be discussing them later. It wouldn't be there because he's going to deal with people who are from that country or who have ties to that country in his own state, and he's doing the right thing about it. And he's from a particular, he has a background that is not conducive to the background that who are giving these people the money that they to help run their campaigns. So that's what I think about that. But okay, I mean, let's just hope this government shutdown is averted, because we cannot afford one right now. We really have an economy that's on the edge of tipping, and right now with all the tariffs and everything that's going on, we really can't afford it. That's just how I feel about the situation.
And so also, Hegseth orders rare meeting with hundreds of senior military officials. Secretary of War Peter Hegseth had summoned hundreds of senior military officials to meet at a Marine Corps base in Virginia next week. The purpose of the meeting is to give them a speech about combat, basically in war. The unusual directive sent to all senior officials with the rank of brigadier generals or above, or their Navy equivalent, serving in command positions in their top enlisted advisors, was issued earlier this week, and the meeting is scheduled for Tuesday in Quantico, Virginia, according to the Washington Post. I'm just reading that small part of this. They said also the president's going to be there. At first, we thought it was, maybe they're getting everybody ready because we're going to go to war with somebody, but it was not that. It is legit just a speech he wants to give them. That's all it is. It's basically a pep rally, and they're using it for the optics. For me, as a person who has a military background, my family's in the military. I never served. I think this is a horrible thing to do, to gather all of you could have done this through Zoom. You know what I'm saying?
There's a reason why they don't want to do something like this through Zoom. You have to look at it. I mean, right now we see what they've been doing. They've been knocking out brass, who they felt like is not a top military brass, who does not hold the same views that they hold, or who are appointed by Democrats or whatever the case may be. And so we have to look at it. Whenever you want to curry favor with someone, it's hard to do that over a Zoom meeting. It's hard to do that without shaking a person's hand, being able to smooge with that person, taking them out to dinner, being able to talk to them, act like you were listening to what are your needs for this branch of military, whatever the case may be, to be able to act like they have a listening ear in the White House. This is what they're doing. They're basically just kind of.
I'm saying like this. This is America. You should never gather. Look, the president and the vice president aren't even supposed to be in the same room half the time because you need a designated survivor. Now you're taking our military officials and taking them out of, they're in active combat zones right now, some of them, and you're flying them out all to put them in one room. Every time I see that happen in the world, Israel bombs it. So I'm just saying.
And I can't even disagree with that either. But let me say this. They said they're going to be talking about restoring the warrior ethos, which is like Hegseth's plans to directly communicate his vision for refocusing the military on lethality and more aggressive posture. This follows his earlier pledge to overcome wokeness and promote toughness. New military standards. The discussion will include new standards related to conduct, physical fitness, areas Hegseth has prioritized since taking office. National defense strategy, military reorganization, personnel changes, enforcing the agenda. So basically they're trying to push some type of. He's what is he now? The Secretary of War. This sounds like a video game. This at the end of the day, this sounds like a video game. We become a childlike video game. Frogger, if you may.
It's Call of Duty.
You know what I mean? It's a childish game. Warrior ethos.
When Trump was first asked about the meeting last week, he appeared to know little about it. He suggested it was meant as a showcase of new weaponry. They're not telling him anything. They know that let him live in his la world where he thinks his poll numbers are the greatest, the economy's fantastic. They're just telling him good news. When he hears something bad, he goes off the rails. I just think this is a bad idea. I know why they're doing it, but I just think it's a bad idea to get all the military brass in one room.
They might as well have made some type of Nordic or Scandinavian type name for all this and gave it that. That's pretty much what this is, some type of a Viking play military, dress up military type of a deal where they can look good and have some military brass and also some hardware. And that's all they're really doing, man. This is a game. He wants to look like he's doing more than what he really is.
And I'm concerned for our troops. At the end of the day, I don't care how much money they spend on defense. Spend it all. Spend half the American budget on defense. That's what lets me sit here and do what I want to do. I'm concerned for the brass. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm concerned about them having to travel all the way back to America for this and not being able to see do they get to stay and see their families, or they go right back? And then them heading back because they're on the move. Which bases they're leaving from. The top brass is moving around right now. It's too much information out there in the world for people to know stuff about this. That's what I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Don't you know Absolutely. Bad boys move in silence and violence?
Gunmen opened fire at Michigan church and sets it ablaze, killing at least 4 and wounding 8. An ex-Marine smashed a pickup truck into a church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Michigan, opened fire and set the building ablaze during a crowded Sunday service, and then was fatally shot by police. At least 4 people were killed and 8 wounded, and authorities were searching the building ruins for more victims. The attack occurred about 10:25 a.m. while hundreds of people were in the building in Grand Blanc Township outside Flint. The man got out of the pickup truck with 2 American flags raised in his truck bed and started shooting, the police chief, William Rennie, said. The attacker apparently used gas to start the fire and also had explosive devices, but it wasn't clear if he used them, said James Deere of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. Authorities identified the shooter as Thomas Jacob Sanford, 40, of the neighboring small town of Burton. The FBI is leading the investigation and considering an act of targeted violence, said Reuben Coleman, a special agent in charge of the Bureau. Officers responded to a 911 call at the church within 30 seconds, Rennie said. After the suspect left the church, 2 officers pursued him and engaged in gunfire. killing him about 8 minutes later. The chief said people inside the church shielded children and moved them to safety during the attack. Flames and smoke poured from the large porch of the from the large church for hours before the blaze was extinguished. 2 bodies were found during a search of the debris, and Rennie said more victims could be found as the searchers made their way through the entire church. One of the wounded people was in critical condition Sunday evening, and 7 others were stable. Some people were unaccounted for, but didn't have an exact number. Michigan State Police Lieutenant Kim Vetter said the bomb threats were made at other churches in the area after officers shot and killed Sanford. No bombs were found, and police were investigating the threats.
Yeah, so those bomb threats was probably from kids that just didn't want to go to church. I mean, this is a sad sight to see.
Or other people who are copycats like him who are looking to,
yeah, well, I mean, like
something like this.
And we were thinking like maybe this is related because Charlie Kirk was a Christian, and he was shot by a Mormon in Utah, and now we're in Michigan where a Christian is attacking a Mormon. Christians have attacked Mormons for years and years. And maybe this could be like some kind of European on European crime spree that's going on. This gentleman, politically, he was a Trump supporter. He had a Trump sign in his yard. He had the shirts. He had the double flag on the back of his truck. I love America, but you know what that means when you got the double flag. He loved it, just like the school shooter. The same day Charlie Kirk was killed, the school shooter was a Trump supporter, radicalized online. This gentleman may have been too. And the White House steadily just got rid of their research showing that these are violent extremists. So I see this
by far from the right. By far from the right, they're the most violent people when it comes to any kind of extremist groups. They're by far like 4 or 5 times that of anyone else. And it basically said he had a shirt that said "Reelect Trump." He on his Facebook photo. Shirt said "Reelect Trump 2020." Shirt with the phrase "Make liberals cry again," alongside his wife and his son. They, like you said, proud Trump supporter, had a big sign displayed in his yard or whatever at his home. So I mean, this is something that is consistently happening. At some point in time, we got to stop. Are they going to go cry for these people at this church? They're going to treat them like a war cry like they did Charlie Kirk?
No.
I wonder. At all. They're not going to. Trump came out. What did he say? Oh, we have to stop this violent extremism. But then he slowed down, moved on to something else, because extremism is happening all over America. But it's really from your side of the fence.
He can't look into it. They never wanted to look into this extremism. Think about it. Even when you go back to the KKK, they didn't want to look into it because then they got to look at their own people. And when they start looking at their own people, they know they got to start arresting them, and they don't want to do none of that. They don't want to get that done or put it. So they're not going to do nothing about it.
They start arresting their friends, pretty much.
Yeah, their friends and family, and someone's going to call them and say something. So I mean, it's sad. It's sad that this happened. People shouldn't just die. Especially, this is the second church shooting, I believe, this year, major one. Remember, the kids were killed in the other church.
This dude is crazy, bro.
Yeah,
he set the whole church on fire. This had hundreds of people in the church, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, it's ain't like where the kid. I mean, Roof was named Dylan Roof or whatever his name was. The kid over
Dylan Roof. I think he was worse because he went in there and prayed with him for 2 hours. Those people cared about him. They didn't even know him. He was a stranger, and he said, "Yep, got to kill y'all."
And murder everybody in that church.
They still gave him some Burger King afterwards.
He was a psychopath. I mean, this goes for both of these guys right here. We have to start looking at who everyone knows who the biggest terrorists are in this country. This is a whole. I mean, we have more to talk about terrorism on this broadcast here.
That shows you that shows you the definition of American terrorism. Because when it's Americans, when it's European Americans, it's not terrorism. When it's somebody else,
go ahead, finish
up. They call them patriots out here.
Yeah, they basically came back and said they called it something else in this article. I cannot find it just so quickly, but it wasn't. They didn't want to call it terrorism at all. They were basically like, "Oh, this act of extreme violence." Pretty much, they didn't want to targeted violence is what they call act of targeted violence. Are we serious right now?
Yeah.
Are we not going to look at this and call it what it is?
I knew what it was when the guy that he had all those bombs. He's living in Florida in a van. He mailed pipe bombs to all the Democratic adversaries of Donald Trump. He had Trump all over his stuff, and they say terrorism is a political act, is what they say. Mm-hmm. This was the definition of terrorism, and they still didn't call it that. After that, I was like, nope, they're never gonna do it until it starts happening to them. I mean, and then speaking of that, like that takes us right into our next thing. Um, Trump signs memorandum to dismantle left-wing terrorist threats.
Mm.
President Trump signed a memorandum on Thursday to counter domestic terrorism and organized political violence, a move that builds on his earlier order to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. The president's memorandum implements an administration-wide response to domestic terrorists that include a national joint terrorist task force and further collaborations among the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and the Treasury. We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups, Trump said as he signed a memorandum on Thursday in the Oval Office, citing assassination attempts against himself, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, an attack at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, as well as riots in Los Angeles and Portland. The memorandum claims that the political violence is not a series of isolated incidents and does not emerge organically. Instead, it's a circumstance of sophisticated, organized campaigns of targeted intimidation, radicalization, threats, violence, threats, violence designed to silence opposing speech, limit political activity, change the direct policy outcomes, and prevent the functioning of a democratic society, the meme reads. The executive action this week is part of Trump's administration's crackdown on violence following the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk this month in Utah. Trump and his allies have routinely blamed the far left for the violence and have promised to use the might of the White House to hold left-wing extremists accountable.
You know what, man? You know, this is what I want to always say. They always come out with, this was Antifa. You know who I've never met? Anybody from Antifa. You know who else I ain't ever met before? I never met nobody from Black Lives Matter. I've never met any of them. I've never met any of these people ever in my life. And so when you talk about this, they act like Antifa is some type of a powerhouse, you know what I mean? Like a left-wing group that just does all kind. I mean, but I've never seen them before.
Well, remember they had a thing where he last time he was president, they designated this thing for black folks. It was like black extreme ideology. Basically, it's like when you're proud of yourself, you have knowledge and history of yourself. They try to label us. Well, they did. They labeled us black folks like that as terrorist organization, terrorist group. You saw they're trying to go after George Soros. He just went after Comey. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they're coming after you. Look, bro, a lot of people ain't gonna survive. A lot of y'all ain't gonna look, man. I don't know what to tell you, bro. A lot of us ain't gonna make it 3 years. All right. You see all the stuff they're trying to implement. All they're doing is wearing you down. Wearing you down. That's the plan. Wear you down until you can't take no more. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Look, he put this memorandum out, right? And even with the Charlie Kirk stuff, they're saying like, look, he wasn't even shot. They're saying it was his microphone. That's why when you saw it in the shirt jumped up. They're saying the microphone popped him in the neck.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that too. Those are conspiracy theories. I don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want us to get too far but I know what you mean though. There's different conspiracy theories that do hold merit, but at the same time, you know, these are all alleged things that may have happened. May not have happened.
Excuse me.
You know what I mean?
Off the rails. He's also trying to make a task force where they're gonna because they already have all your information through was it Parler? Is that what it's called? Parler? But they have your information where they're basically gonna be like Palantir, where it's like the Minority Report. They're going to have a task force that's going to identify people and stop you from committing future crimes. Did you hear that, folks? Stop you from committing future crimes. Like, you know what? I think in 3 months, you might shoot up a grocery store, Tyrone.
Let me tell you something that's pretty interesting right now too. In China, they say that a lot of these companies are Oracle. A lot of our companies have already been working in China, helping them with their government, like Big Brother program or government surveillance program, and they're already doing the things that they're pretty much going to be trying to implement here. They're doing them in China. Like they have a system. They had these people who tried to go to the Capitol 20 times. They're like recording themselves trying to go. Then they record these guys. And these dudes would be following them everywhere they went, like to stop them from going to the Capitol. I'm not really sure why they're trying to stop this family from going to the Capitol, probably for political reasons of some sort. But they knew every move they were making because they were Big Brother and them. It was foretold what these people were going to do. That's how they got onto them to begin with. It was foretold, like, you know, it's like you said, they're using information to basically gather and say, oh, these people are going to go to the Capitol. They're not like they're going there to start trouble. They're just going, I mean, for that government is probably starting trouble, I guess. I don't know. I can't say.
I saw a gentleman. He was in a car, and he was like, "Yo, you're not allowed to talk bad about the political party or the people in charge in China." And he was in a taxi, just asked. He's like, "Watch this." He just asked the guy a question. You know, saying the taxi driver got on his phone, boop boop boop, reported him, and then he had to go talk to the police. They pulled over, and the police talked to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're not too far off from that. Because right now you're not. He's like, hey, you can't talk bad about me. You can't say this about me. You know what I'm saying? So we're not too. I mean,
and not to even go too far off topic, but just to say, he just got another $24.5 million from YouTube because they removed his profile in 2021. Just like with Meta, ABC, CBS, all these other people who are paying him money. He almost has made, this is Trump, has almost made $100 million from lawsuits suing people for removing him from their platforms for him trying to incite basically the government takeover, basically, and try to incite treason, an insurrection. You know what I mean? So this, I mean, I'm not understanding, why are we paying him? He's extorting these media companies for their money, extorting them, saying, hey, you know what? You kicked me off your platform. This is what we voted for. This is what everyone in this country who voted for this or who did not vote or sat back and talked bad about the alternative candidate. This is exactly what you voted for.
No, this is what they wanted.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Are you
happy now? No, this is me knowing that you're happy now.
Yeah,
I know. You know what I mean? This because you want to be ruled by somebody who you need someone to rule you and tell you what to do. Like they tell you to call Trump daddy, you'll do that. This is what you'll do.
Rules, Wes. They just don't want it to be the black folks.
And I agree. You know what I mean? I agree to a higher. I think there's a higher percentage of people who feel that way, who feel like there was an issue when Obama got in office. That's when things changed. Are you serious? Do we forget that we have a history of racism and slavery and everything else that's happened in this country? That's when the divisiveness happened. Remember what was her name? Ruby Bridges. What's the little girl's name who they had to bring the National Guard to walk her into school? Little black girl back in like the 60s or something like that. Early 60s. That wasn't divisive to you? You didn't catch that as being a divisive time in this country? Oh, it was Obama, though. It was the fact that he became president. And that's what it was.
Like, he said divisive things. I'm like, he didn't say nothing divisive. If Obama made me proud to be black and did some black stuff for us, you would know about it because I throw it in your face every day. The only reason they didn't like Obama, I remember when he got elected. They had people on the news freaking out. What about our way of life? How are we going to live? They was scared. You know what I'm saying? Then they had to recognize and look at their own selves like, dang, you know what I'm saying? I've been treating these people like crap. Now they run us. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it came from them. But anyways, Pentagon's calling up 200 guard troops to deploy to Oregon. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered 200 Oregon National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon, under federal authority, and ordered the state is challenging in court. President Donald Trump announced plans to send troops into Portland on Saturday to protect federal immigration facilities against domestic terrorists. Hegseth's memo, which was dated Sunday and posted online by Oregon officials, said that 200 members of the Oregon National Guard will be called into federal service effective immediately for a period of 60 days. A defense official who spoke to the Military Times on condition of anonymity said the Guard is currently in the process of identifying which troops will deploy. Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Bomar, a spokesperson for the Oregon National Guard, told Military Times that it takes approximately 96 hours for a notification for Guard members to report on site for duty. The Pentagon memo said the new order further implements the president's directions in June when thousands of Guard troops were deployed to Los Angeles to protect U.S. immigration and custom enforcement and other U.S. government officials, personnel amid ongoing protests in the city. Oregon's about to burn. Remember, he declared war on Oregon. He's like, I'm declaring war on you, and this is the way he's doing it. And soon he's going to do it here to Seattle. He already did L.A. He's doing it to Oregon, Portland, and now he's going to come up to Seattle and try to do it.
So you have to, we have to, I don't mean to, you want to.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I mean, how I look at it, like what he's doing this is his way of slipping troops into city. He's figured out a way to do it he's trying to make look normal. He's trying to normalize the way he's doing it. Okay, I'm gonna send them in there to defend the ICE agents. Get out of here, man, please.
Well, the ICE agents need defending away from the facility. We got to make a perimeter around it. You need to defend them while they go do their job in the streets. You know what I'm saying?
That's where it's going to get. That's where it's going to go towards that, and use any means necessary. I mean, this dude. I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't deserve to be president. Anyone who believes this person deserves to be president needs to leave this country because you have no idea what this country is about. I can say that proudly because I am a black man. We are like part of the original Americans here. Other than Native Americans, it's us. Period. The reason why I can say that is because we don't have any other place to go. You guys do. You know where you're from. You
Yes,
know
I'm gonna tell
exactly
you,
what's going on with you.
give you.
So
This is the answer I give to people when they say that, and not to offend you or anything like that. Take it back, then. If you feel this is your country, you was here before, this is your original land, take it back. Because ain't nobody. I'm not saying take it back. You know what I'm saying? Like
no,
you said,
this listen. No. This has nothing to do with taking the land from anyone. It's just me talking about the fact of the matter of why we hold such a high degree of understanding and caring for this nation. This isn't about taking land from someone or the other, because we're all Americans at the end of the day. Yeah. However, when I speak, it holds more gravitas than others, and it should, because at the end of the day, a lot of these guys who are in political office, like Marco Rubio, is like a first generation. His parents, you're a foreigner. I mean, Trump is a foreigner. He's a German, pretty much.
His wife is an immigrant.
So this is what I'm saying. This is about one people taking the name. This is America. America is a melting pot. We're not talking about taking anything from anyone.
Where's Peter Thiel from?
Germany.
Okay,
Peter Thiel's from Germany.
Where's Elon Musk from?
I believe he was either born in Canada or he was born in South Africa. But I believe his parents were in Canada. They moved him to South Africa. He ain't from here. That's all there is to it. All the people in this government.
And JD Vance keeps changing his name. And his wife is not from here. Is his wife from here? Where's JD Vance's wife from? Is she from India?
I can't say this whether she's from here or not, but I bet you she's probably a first generation herself. You look at the guys like Vivek Ramaswamy. Look where he's. I mean, but this isn't me.
Kash Patel in charge of the FBI. We're not run by Americans right now, folks. I don't care if you're red or you're blue or whatever. You need to realize that your country is not run by homegrown Americans. I can deal with the homegrown American because we can talk our differences to a point. Racism, I don't want to talk to you about that. Most of it, we talk our difference. But when we're run by people from a different country, they got somewhere to go. Me and you, we ain't got nowhere to go. This is it. I'm not going back to Africa. You're not going back to Europe. Huh? Are you? You think you want to live there? No.
And so, and it's at this point in time, it's like we've been dealing with the situation of this whole ICE thing, and it's getting worse because you got to look at even in Chicago now. They're ready. The Governor Pritzker just came out and spoke about it. He was like, "Hey, they're talking about sending in ICE troops. I mean, basically, military troops in here to defend the ICE troops from whatever's going on, whatever attacks that they perceive that they're going through." They killed a guy already over in Chicago. So let's not act like he drug a ICE agent and so we killed him. And what should the citizens be needing protection from the ICE agents? Really, is that what this is really about?
You see the dude on the bike? You see the dude on he was like Trump, and he got away from him though. Got away from him.
But you know what? Honestly, later on down, like they're gonna try to kill him. Person like that will end up getting killed. Something's gonna happen. This is right now. All he's trying to do is like it's like basically around a whole bunch of kindling. He has a whole bunch of highly flammable things sitting around. And he's trying to light the match. Just to go ahead and spark it off so he can start sending in troops, and then his constituency will push it and be like, oh, this is great. Go in there and get rid of those protesters XYZ. And this will be the first time in history that we'll start having military troops firing on American citizens. I mean, not the first time. It's probably, I think it also happened at Kent State or somewhere like that. But in mass though, in multiple different cities.
In old black neighborhoods, it used to happen too. During restructuring and segregation. But the whole thing is like this. They're gonna cheer on it in blue states. Yeah, take them all down because it's not gonna affect you. But then you're gonna go to your town halls again and try to scream at your your representative, and they're gonna have you taken out like they're doing to you now, dragged out by the police and arrested when you're screaming at them. And they're gonna beat you.
To those farmers too.
Yeah, the farmers. We got a story on that one too. And so here, let's get into that really quick.
Let me. You want me to go ahead.
I got one. China buys Argentina soybeans after tax drop, leaving U.S. farmers sidelined. Chinese buyers booked at least 10 cargoes of Argentina soybeans after Buenos Aires scrapped grain export taxes. Three traders said on Tuesday, dealing another setback to U.S. farmers already shut out of their top market and hit by low prices. Argentina temporary tax move boosts the competitiveness of its soybeans, prompting trade to secure cargoes for fourth quarter inventories in China. A period usually dominated by U.S. shipments, but now clouded by Washington's trade war with Beijing. The Panamax-sized shipments of 650,000 metric tons of each are scheduled for November, with CNF cost and freight prices quoted at a premium of about $2.15 to $2.30 per bushel to the Chicago Board of Trade, CBOT. November soybeans contract SX25. Two traders who, with direct knowledge of the matter, said. The one trader said Chinese buyers have booked 15 cargoes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we bring this up to look. This is the farmers in the Midwest. They sell their soybeans to China. Donald Trump started the trade war, so the trade wars with China. So China's we're shut out of the soybean market.
Yep.
Right. We're shut out. Right. And then Argentina's economy is collapsing. So the government is giving them billions of dollars.
$20 billion from our federal government.
And as soon as the government said they were going to give them the $20 billion, Argentina dropped the tax on their soybeans, and we got cut out. So the farmers, either the government's going to give them to socialism and bail these farmers out, which I highly doubt they're going to. You know what I'm saying? These farms are going to be bought up by rich folks. Do you see what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? It's hitting both sides. Both sides. You're just not seeing it. They don't want to talk about what's happening with these farmers.
Let me ask you this. I mean, we both know that Argentina is a rest haven for Germans and Nazis from the from World War II. From World War II. We both know that. There's been a lot of stories about it. They found Nazi archives inside of the Supreme Court basement, all kinds of stuff. And so
allegedly they said that's where Adolf Hitler went after the war. He died there.
They found a bunch of them were down there. A bunch of these guys, the butchers of whoever else and whatever else they were finding down in these places. And so, I mean, we talk about Trump. I think the German chancellor, whoever it was, gave him the archives from his great-grandfather or grandfather's signature that he had written in some type of birth certificate, whatever it was, gave him that. Also, Peter Thiel, who's helped J.D. Vance get into office, helped has some of the biggest military contracts from the military right now for Palantir. Is also German, so we kind of can see why. But do you think that the whole soybean thing is them trying to tell, hey, this is a way for you? Because I know that they went into Brazil as well, and China had went into Brazil and put in infrastructure in Brazil and Africa to try and offset the loss that they would take from not buying American soybeans. Because this has been a huge thing. They said right now, around $9 billion would have been spent or something like that on American soybeans. And they said China has spent zero. Yeah. They said that even if they got all the rest of the soybean market, like everything, which is impossible, you won't get them all. All the rest of the soybean market from everyone else, it still wouldn't account for what they lost with China. And that speaks volumes. And there's no way they can get 100%. There's so many other countries out there who sell food. I mean, it speaks volumes for what they're doing, but I bet you it's in coordination with our government in some way, shape, or form. Believe me,
I wonder if they want the land. I don't know what our government's doing. I mean, it's either, check it out, it's one of two things. It's either major incompetence, which we've seen a lot of, or it's strategically planned, which we've seen a lot.
Administration. Look at his first administration with the soybeans. What happened? Same exact thing happened. How is this not incompetence? And you have not figured out a way to help the American farmer. Are you, like you said, is it basically a plan to get you out of here? They've had more unalivings of themselves, farmers, I'm saying, during this time than it's ever happened before.
And they're losing family farms. I mean, it's been in their
generations.
Yeah. And then some people are like, I want to sell a piece of my farm to stay afloat, but I want to sell it to somebody that's going to buy it back, or I want to sell it to somebody that'll sell it back to me. And it doesn't seem like that's happening because, who was it? I think it was Stephen Miller and then another person. Oh no, who was it? I think maybe it was J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller. They own some company that buys up farmland.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the names of people. I know who you're talking about, though.
People but they have a company. These people
want to say it is J.D. Vance.
Yeah, and they have companies that buy up this farmland. You know what I'm saying? So if they buy it all up, then they own it. Then if you can own the food where they grow the food, you own it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Trump announces an agreement with Israel to end the war in Gaza. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared together at the White House Monday, where they pledged support for a U.S. plan to secure the release of remaining hostages in the war in Gaza. We're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close, Trump said in the press conference alongside Netanyahu. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. The announcement of peace plan comes as 2-year anniversary of Hamas attack on Israel draws closer, and as a growing list of nations recognized Palestinian statehood last week during the United Nations General Assembly. Ahead of the meeting, the White House released its multi-point plan for peace. The 20-point Gaza plan would immediately end Israel's war in the territory, boost aid to Gaza, and require Hamas to release remaining Israeli hostages within 48 hours. A Trump economic development plan will be created to rebuild Gaza, including a special economic zone with preferred tariffs and access rates. The hostages are coming back, Trump said. Netanyahu, who spoke next, said he supports Trump's plans, which he said achieves our wartime aims. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for a dramatically advanced peace in the Middle East. And I think beyond the Middle East and very important Muslim countries, Netanyahu said. Hamas has yet to accept the proposal and has resisted specific measures that are outlined in the proposal. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt, the plan states. Unlike Trump, earlier comments to move Palestinians out of the region and redevelop the Gaza Strip, the White House plan says Palestinians will be encouraged to stay and help build a better Gaza. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return, the plan states. Trump has been one of Netanyahu's strongest supporters, but he has grown more frustrated with the prime minister as the war has dragged on and the loss of lives has grown. Earlier this month, Trump claimed he was blindsided when Israel launched a strike against Hamas officials in Qatar, a U.S. ally and mediator in ceasefire talks. A few hours before their joint press conference, Netanyahu called Qatar's Prime Minister Al Thani and from the Oval Office and apologized for Israel's missile strikes, the White House said in a statement. He further expressed regret that in targeting Hamas leadership during the hostage negotiations, Israel violated Qatar's sovereignty and affirmed that Israel will not conduct such an attack again in the future, the White House said in a statement. So that's big right there. You know what I mean? For them to have called Qatar and actually said, I guess, we're sorry for what we did. You know what I mean? Having to say mi culpa, whatever the case may be. But yeah. What do you think about this plan? Does this make sense? I know there's a 20-point plan I could have went through, but
I don't think this is. I think this is just stall tactics to get the world to chill out. I believe they're going to.
The world's on their ASS, ain't they?
The world is, and it's stall tactics. The world's taking too long, but it's like, you know, I've talked to people. They didn't even know what was going on in Gaza. They were like, I didn't see it. They're like, did you see the starvation? Did you see the video? I'm like, bro, I've been seeing this every day.
Did you hear about the flotillas?
Yeah. You see North Korea came out and he was like, look, you blow up Thurnborn or whatever, we'll nuke you. You know what I'm saying?
On top of that, you saw, like, I think it was I want to say it was Spain or Portugal. You know what I mean? One of those countries, even Italy, even though they didn't vote to help, you know, with the whole thing, or even say that they'll recognize Palestine. They basically sent ships. People sent warships, man, to help out with these flotillas so that they could not be struck. I mean, a lot of countries, Turkey, a lot of countries. I mean, there was literally hundreds of ships who were headed towards Gaza, and there's countries sending battleships along with them. Like, do something about this, bro, and it's going to be a problem. Everybody's ready now, and it's not that they took too long. It's not their fault. It's us, man. It's us. We've used this to hang over people's heads for so long, and we have been the problem. And now they've gotten enough courage to stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough. And the one thing I can say, when Trump came out and he said that I won't allow it. When he came out and was talking about them taking over, basically annexing the West Bank, Israel annexing the West Bank, he said, I won't allow it. And they said, what, have you talked to Netanyahu? He's like, it doesn't matter if I spoke to him, but yes, I did, but I won't allow it. You know what I mean? And that I mean, I don't like Trump, but that was, I respected that statement. At least someone finally came out, because they've already talked about annexing the West Bank. They're taking Gaza. They were already in the middle of bombing Gaza, going in, doing whatever they had to do. They bombed Qatar. What the cool part about it, Qatar came out and they got all the Muslim countries, Arab countries together and said, you know what, man? Hey, the next thing is going to be, we about to get into war with y'all, period. Saudi Arabia just put up $90 million to make basically like a rebuild Gaza. They're helping with the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian Authority is basically the government that runs the West Bank. That the PLA used to run basically all of the West Bank and Gaza, and I think that they kind of got ran out after Arafat. Don't quote me on all this though, but after Arafat lost his life, and I think that's when Hamas kind of came in and started taking over Gaza. But I mean, this is huge that these countries are finally starting to stepping up, and they're being unafraid. You know what I mean? And, you know, I think Qatar was able to speak to Trump and say, you know what? Hey, man, we had these peace talks held in our country at your request. We did what you want us to do. We have the largest military base, U.S. military base in the Middle East in our country. And you allow these people to strike us. You had to have known, because your military base is here. You think those drones are going to get inside of there with without our satellites knowing that they're there? So basically, either you're involved or whose side are you on? I just gave you a $400 million a jet, didn't we?
We'll take it back too. We'll take it back.
You know, like, I thought we were friends. Everyone's looking at him. You got all these deals over here. They're about to build a Trump Plaza in Saudi Arabia, man. You know what I mean? They're about to build $1 billion Trump Plaza in Saudi. He's looking at him like, bro, you messing with my deals, BB. You messing up my money right now, brother. Billions.
He wanted the West Bank. He's like, we'll control it. You know what I'm saying?
Like, Gaza. Was it Gaza?
Yeah, no, they said they was gonna have the whole area run by Tony Blair, which is ridiculous in itself. Like, show and prove. We'll see. I mean, the rest of the world is waking up. They're like, look, you ain't gonna do this, because they know if they're allowed to do this to them, they can do it to anybody. They're bombing 6 countries right now with no consequences. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna keep you up to date of everything that's going on in the world. Once again, this is Uncommon Courtesy, Wes.
We appreciate you. And there's been 252 days since the occupation has begun. And I want to warn everybody again that don't sit back and act like you don't want to vote or don't understand what evil is when it's staring you in the face and telling you what it is. Thank you.
Until next time.
And around the